What is up, everybody? I'm just trying to figure out how to get this on all platforms. There we go. I think this is working. I'm live. All right. It has been a little while since I've gone live, and I didn't want to do it. So, I do that thing where I do it because I don't want to do it. So, here we are. I've got a lot of things that I want to talk about today. Anybody jumping on, feel free to comment, engage in the conversation. Anybody watching this recording afterwards, feel free to leave comments and still engage in the conversation. I will get back to you. If you ever leave a comment and a good bit of time goes by before I get back to it, just let me know. Remind me. Sometimes I miss things. What do I want to talk about first? Holy moly, everybody. It has been. You need something? It has been intense lately for me. And for a lot of the people that I've been speaking to, especially people who are tuned in, tapped in to God, to Mother Earth, especially for people who have eyes that can see through it all, through the deception, through the darkness, through the densities. It has been intense. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit. First, what do I want to talk about? Believe it or not, you guys, I have ice in my drink here, which is wild because I don't usually drink cold things, especially if I am on my cycle, which I am. I'm a few days in, so it's not as bad. But I just wanted to put this drink on ice that I found at Diane's, the health food store, Whole Foods store. It's got magnesium in it. What else does it have? L-threonate. That's magnesium L-threonate, L-theanine, lemon balm. What else? We've got filtered water, peach ginger tea, chicory root, hibiscus, licorice root, more peach, rose hips, ginger, peach juice concentrate. Not my favorite thing. I'm not a big fan of concentrates, but it is delicious. Pear juice concentrate, the recessed magnesium blend, peach powder, citric acid, ginger powder, and lemon balm powder, along with L-theanine and monk fruit. So I had my first one of these last week when we went to the Springs, and it was delicious, and I loved it. And not only do I enjoy the way that it tastes, but I also enjoy the way that it makes me feel. But I learned not to have more than like one a day, or if anything, definitely not two back to back, because it's got a significant amount of magnesium in it. So, and different forms of magnesium, the forms that can make you have to use the restroom. So that's that. I want to talk about some of you. A lot of you noticed when I posted a couple of weeks ago that I'm not going to be around much longer. And some of that was in jest, and some of that was real. So God has put it on my heart. He put it on my heart months and months ago to travel, to be a traveler, to move around. Yeshua, Jesus, whatever we want to call him, is one of my biggest role models and somebody who I really base my path off of, who I look up to. And that's what he did. He walked, he traveled, he moved. He did not stay in one place. He walked a lot, and he met a lot of people on his travels. And that's what I'm really being called to do. I'm so grateful to St. Augustine. Like, this is my home. This is mine. And I'm very grateful for that. So I think that my roots are going to always be here. I may not have been born in St. Augustine, but who I am today, I created in St. Augustine. And for those of you who may not know, I moved here when I was like 22 years old, fresh out of prison, fresh out of a traumatic couple of decades. The first 2 decades of my life were off the chain wild. And I was placed here by myself. The one opportunity I've ever been given is this home, this safe place to call my own. And I took advantage of that opportunity. I took it so seriously, and I did the best that I could with it. And turns out my best is pretty great. And I'm excited about that. So whew, I didn't have a car, I didn't have a job, I didn't know anybody when I moved here, so I got a bicycle. I found a job, that I could get 3 miles, 3.5 miles up the road, and I rode that bike to and from work every day and saved money, put myself through college, earned my bachelor's degree right here in this home. The last 10 years living in this house and really truly deconditioning myself from everything that I had known and rebuilding Cameron has been awesome. And again, I'm so grateful for it. And now I'm feeling that urge to expand, and I feel different ways about it. On one hand, like I said, Jesus was a traveler. He walked, he moved, he met people. I want to do that. I'm starting to feel like a really big fish in a really small pond. St. Augustine is a small town, and with that being said, it's also not like it's growing rapidly, and that's awesome. But the amount of space that we have is not growing. Just the amount of people that we have here is growing. And also, it's like there's this like hometown theory that when you grow up somewhere, and you work on yourself and you develop yourself and you learn things and you grow into who you are, the people around you who have known you your whole life, they can't see you as you are. They see you as you were. And I, feel like I'm carrying a little bit of that energy, but more importantly, I just want to expand. And living in a small town can be kind of oppressive. Um, I have this binocular theory. Angie, I'm so glad you're here. I think that you will appreciate this binocular theory, Angie, if I haven't already shared it with you. Living in a small town, sometimes it's like you're wearing binoculars and you're just hyper focused on that small town and the people in it and the problems in it. And these small problems really look so big when you're wearing those binoculars. But when you take those binoculars off, it's like, wow, there's a great big world out here and there are so many people. And, you know, I'm really recognizing the demographics of this area and how it's a lot of the same people who believe the same things and who do the same things. And I just want some diversity. I want, to be around people, places, and things that help me to learn new things, to gain new perspectives. And I feel like I'm not really getting that right here in this town anymore. And again, I love St. Augustine. This is my home. I don't think I'm going to pack everything up and move somewhere else. But what I am doing is traveling. I also, Florida is a very special place. There's something so special about this state. And I feel the call to go. Food. Tell me more about food. Angie, what are you talking about? I feel so called to go see other parts of Florida and meet other people in other parts of Florida. So I went to Hollywood, Florida, or Holywood, Florida, North Miami, basically a couple of weeks ago. And I had a great time, you guys. I had so much fun. And I'm so glad that I went to Miami a second time, because the first time that I went, I thought it was a terrible place. I was like right downtown in the thick of it where like humans poop on the sidewalk. And I cried the whole way home. And this second experience that I had in Miami was completely different. And I got to, oh, Angie said culture, just better food, more culture. That's the word, Angie, more culture. And being open to other cultures means that you're open to other belief systems, other ways of living. And, I'm so excited. I consider myself pretty cultured, especially given where I came from and how I was raised, because I love to read so much and I'm an avid reader. So I've got to learn about other cultures through books. I did go to Colombia, I did go to Mexico, but there are just there's so many people out there, and there are so many ways of being and ways of believing. And I just want to explore more of those. So I'm excited because, like I said, we get kind of stuck in these rigid ways of being because everybody around us is uniform. They think the same, they speak the same, they act the same, they look the same. It's too uniform for me. So, expanding that, I get excited. What was I saying? Florida, so special. Look at that, my hair. That's some strong hair I've got, you guys. That's that bio minerals, baby. Is that weird? Angie, I lost my train of thought. I get too excited sometimes, but that's okay. But basically, that's it. Also, community nourishment. I have had a vision for community nourishment since I started this organization. And I knew that I was starting it in St. Augustine. It was the soil that I sowed the seeds in. But now it has really bloomed into something awesome. It's like this little tree that's really starting to take root and grow. And I'm hoping that's not somebody that's here. Um, and I want community nourishment to be statewide, to be nationwide. And the idea of it is that we're all just looking out for each other, right? That every city, every state, everywhere in the world has people that know how the body works and what it really needs to function optimally, and provides resources to people who don't have access. Oh, yes, Angie, visiting Miami for the second time. So it was awesome. It was awesome. And what I really, really appreciated about it, again, different perspectives, much more culture, but the people there really wanted to live a healthy lifestyle. They really wanted to explore spirituality and all of these different aspects of spirituality. And everybody that I met, at least, was just so accepting of other people and where they are in life, and what they choose to believe in and how they choose to be. And I really, really loved that. So that's what I'm looking for. I want more of that. I also just want to, that again, I want to be around people that want to do better, that want to be better. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately because people get really triggered and insecure when I speak the truth. When I speak the truth on how we are being poisoned mentally, physically, and spiritually, and how our choices add to whether or not our minds, bodies, and spirits are being polluted. And I've been just saying this stuff for a long time. All right. And I have done it in so many different ways. I've been soft and sweet about it. I've been subtle. I've beat around the bushes. And now I'm just like, hey, if you're sick, it's because you're choosing to be sick. We have access to way too much information and way too many resources for us to continue to poison ourselves and then play victim when we're sick. I swear to you, the people who are saying, it's not my diet and lifestyle that's causing my chronic illness, they're the same people who have no idea what they are eating. All right, eat fast food every day, covered in polyester and plastic, bathe in toxic chemicals, wash their clothes in toxic chemicals. And it's just after a while, especially when you see these patterns, I've been around the same people for a while now, and have watched this play out over time, and they just keep complaining and nothing changes. Or they go to all of these different doctors and they do all these different tests and procedures and they take all these different pharmaceuticals and nothing changes. And then they've tried everything. All your herbs can't help me, Cameron, as if I'm just an herbalist, I've tried everything. No, you haven't. You haven't tried me, baby. Mm-mm. And that's true. And it gets really frustrating. And then when you don't want to be around people who harm their body, when you don't want to be around people who don't take care of their body, then you're a jerk, right? And I think that's crazy because if there was a group of people who were using drugs and they were harming themselves with drugs, and you were like, hey, there's a better way, you don't have to do this, and not only do you not have to do this, I will help you to get out of this, and they say no, and you say, okay, well, I don't want to hang out with drug addicts, you're not an asshole for that. But if you don't want to hang out with people who eat terrible food, who surround themselves in toxic chemicals, even when you tell them, hey, when you show them the truth, this is what you're doing, you don't have to do this, here's a better way, and they still continue to do that, you're not an asshole for not wanting to be around those people. Because right now, things are really shifting, and a lot of us can feel it. And whether you believe in the book of Revelations, whether you believe in the new world, the old world, something is shifting, something is happening. And I am of the understanding that when this shift happens, your body needs to be healthy. You need to be on a certain frequency. All right. And the powers that be that control and manipulate the masses, they keep us filled with high fructose corn syrup, sugar, fake food. They keep us dense and dull so we can't reach those higher frequencies. And I personally have just gotten to the point, I've been out here in the trenches for a minute trying to help people who don't even want to help themselves. And now I'm tired of it. And not only am I tired of it, but I'm just being very blunt. Hey, you're sick. Here's why. Do something about it or die. And, I had labeled this, authentic liberation. I want to talk a bit about authenticity and being authentic in a very fake world and carrying that true light in a very dark world. It is so challenging. And I really feel like I'm at this place where I can speak on it from a place of authority because I've been doing this for a long time now and I have stayed true. And some of you who have been rocking with me for a while, you have seen the harassment that I've gone through, the slander, the lies, the allegations, people trying to ruin my reputation. I've had my home vandalized. I have just been through it and I stayed true the entire time. And I want to talk about how I did that because it's hard. It is really hard feeling like you are rejected by the majority. It's hard to feel like, it's hard when people are projecting their insecurities onto you. I made a post the other day saying that Christians need to behave like Christians, that if you claim to be a Christian, then you need to act like a Christian. And that does not mean that you judge people for who they choose to love. That does not mean that you shove a book that Jesus never wrote down their throat. And by being that also means that you resist the ways of this world, especially the dirty poison food-like products that they put in to pollute your temple. And I was really surprised at some of the people who got upset about that post. They took it so personally and then wanted to act like I was the one in the wrong. And it's like, hey, if you're presented with the truth and it hurts, maybe you should explore that, right? I was so shocked. Like, imagine Christians getting mad at somebody for asking Christians to be Christians. If you are confident in your walk with God, if you are so confident in the way that you are showing up and living in the world, then why does somebody else's opinion of you trigger you so much? Why do you need to work so hard to change somebody else's perspective of you? I love you, Angie. I'll talk to you soon. Mwah. It's really tough being authentic in this world, but it can be done. And something that God put in my heart a long time ago was that just stay true to you, speak the truth, and you will attract the people that are supposed to be in your life. And sure, maybe you're not going to be surrounded by a bunch of energy vampires, maybe you won't have this big old entourage, but most of the time that stuff isn't real anyway. So, this is just a little test run, you guys. I'm probably going to get back on later and do this again. What did I write down here? Yes, so remember, the world is much bigger than we realize most of the time. Most of us are just walking around with these binoculars on that are hyper focused on these small areas and these small minds and these small problems. And when we take those binoculars off, the world is so big and there's so many beautiful, wonderful things happening in the world. And yes, there are a lot of terrible things happening too, and there are a lot of miserable, mean, inflamed people, but I choose to believe that for every one miserable, inflamed person, there are 5 happy people who love themselves. And that's what I've been seeking. That's why I'm leaving. And my next trip is next month. I'm going to be gone for the second half of June. So if you want to get your orders in, get them in. I will be working from the road though. So I'll still be doing the consultations and the mentorship and the calls and stuff. But I am just praying to God. I am saying, God, please surround me with people who truly know you, God, who are tuned in to Mother Earth. Okay. Tapped in to that infinite life source energy, who want to be real with themselves and want to learn and grow and evolve. Okay. I've been praying to God to surround me with people that are secure enough in themselves that we can each show up fully as we are without triggering the other person. Because that's really tough, man, especially in these quote unquote spiritual communities where everybody's lifting women up until that woman's shining just a little bit brighter than you for a moment. And then it's like, oh, we got to dim that. No, I don't want that anymore. Misty, I would love to talk to you about mentorship. Let's do it. Reach out. I do have some information on the website, communitynourishment.org/offerings, but I'll also hop on a call with you for 15 minutes or so and just chat, see what you're looking for, see if we're a good match. I love this stuff. And just like that, you guys, it's, sometimes, especially if you're somebody that carries that big light, especially if you're somebody who can see through the deception and see through the darkness, it can feel like you're the only one sometimes, but we're not. There are so many people out here who can see just like you can, who can feel just like you can, and who love God with all their heart just like you do. And the enemy will work through. That's another reason why I'm so adamant about us staying hydrated and nourishing our bodies, because that is one of the ways that the enemy, the demons, the whatever you want to call it, those dense, low frequency energies can penetrate into your body and work through you to do the devil's work, because you're loaded with McDonald's and Burger King and high fructose corn syrup. That's not food, and it lowers your frequency and it makes you more susceptible to what some people might call evil. And, people feel attacked when I say this stuff, but I'm not out here I'm not saying, oh, you're a bad person and you should be ashamed of yourself. No, I'm just being real. Hey, these are the consequences to those choices. And very few people have it within them to say, all right, that's true. Here's where I'm falling short. And here's what I'm going to do to start evolving, to start changing, to start becoming better than I am right now. It is so much easier. I don't think it's really easier, so I'm really not exactly sure why, but people tend to instead just project. If I'm the bad guy, then they don't have to hold themselves accountable. If I'm the asshole, then they don't have to change their ways. And while that might seem easier right now, just wait until you get older. A lifetime of poison takes its toll. It might not be bothering you as much right now. I don't know. I like to think about the future. What am I going to do today that's going to make tomorrow better for me? What am I going to do today that's going to help me 5 years from now? And that is always eating real food, moving my body, strengthening my body, okay? Surrounding myself with good people. And, I don't know who's been on here this whole time, but I was saying earlier, I'll share, so I went to a gathering recently where people were eating. My cat really wants to go outside. Come here, sweet, sweet. And I cannot eat the food that is served out here in the Matrix. I won't do it. I had Crohn's for 15 years. I had endometriosis for over a decade. My body has been through it, and I worked my ass off to not only come back from those ailments, but to absolutely thrive. And, over the years, like when I first started this journey, I didn't want to, for one, we grew up really, really poor. So the idea of not taking food that was offered to me just wasn't even a part of my reality. But then I evolved past that. But then I didn't want to be rude, because it can be seen as really rude to not eat food that somebody offers you. But then I would do it. I would compromise myself to eat this food to not appear rude, and then pay for it for days. And I don't want to do that. And now, I go to these gatherings where there's food, and sometimes people get really upset if you bring your own food. And they will, and the reality of it is they feel ashamed. They feel like they're doing something wrong. You don't even have to say anything. Just having your own food and not eating what they're eating triggers people's insecurities. And it takes a lot of strength and courage to still go in, feel that awkwardness, right? Feel that resentment and those shadows being projected onto you. Try to maintain love, stay true to what you have to do, and enjoy your food. But it just has to be done. The enemy, we all know that this is a shadowed planet, that there are dark forces that kind of rule this realm. And I will continue to say it as loud as I can, that they do this by poisoning our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. And so again, I don't really put myself in that situation very often. I don't really hang around a lot of people that eat poison. And it's not because I'm trying to be mean and judge them. It's because I want better for myself. And I'm going to say it again. Nobody would say I was wrong if I didn't want to hang out with a group of crackheads. Nobody would say I was wrong if I didn't want to go sit at a bar and hang out with alcoholics. But because I don't want to hang out with people that poison their body all day, every day, I'm wrong for that? No, that is a trick of the enemy. That is a trick of the enemy, and I'm not falling for it anymore. It has really kind of boggled me lately, some of the people who have gotten really upset for my cries for Christians to love like Christ. All right, for Christians to stop. The Bible has a lot to offer. There's some really good information in that book. But the fact of the matter is, if you look into the Council of Nicaea and the people who voted, it was literally a political decision. People got around and voted on which books would be included in the Bible and which books would not be included in the Bible. And the more that you look into it, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John didn't want any of that to happen. They wrote their experiences with Christ Jesus, and that's it. So when I do turn to that piece of literature, that historical piece of literature for guidance, it is only in the Gospels. It is only Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And sure, Paul's in there, all the things. But that's not even my go-to. My go-to is going and sitting outside in the garden and praying. And I've just started fasting recently, not for days. I have a whole spiel. I will leave that for another day. But just really allowing my body to get rid of the excess ick. And it's been really great. And when you seek and ye shall find. I believe wholeheartedly that if I say, all right, God, if I believe in my whole heart that I'm going to walk into this library and grab a book off of the shelf and open that book, and God's going to have a word in that book for me, it will be there. God is speaking to us in so many different ways, through the animals, through the trees, through the breeze, through the books, through other people. And when you take care of your body, you can trust your body. When your body is hydrated and well nourished, you can listen to it because it will speak to you. It will be able to tell you, oof, something's not right here. And there's a difference between being triggered because the truth is uncomfortable and feeling that this is on a lower frequency. This isn't right. And Numbers are another way. It's like the universal language, numbers, and God talks through numbers all of the time. And even today, it was so cool. I went to get some groceries and the total was 44.44. And I had been thinking about something really important to me when that happened. And then, Marcos and I split everything. So we had to split the cost, and it was 22.22. And they're everywhere. God is everywhere. God is not confined to a religion, to a book, to anything. God is infinite. And that's what my soul is yearning for. I'm so grateful for everything that has led me to where I am. But now I just feel like I want to, I feel like I have a big purpose, and that the enemy works through small minds to try to stop that. And I'm not going to let it happen. If I was going to let it happen, I would have let it happen a long time ago. But let me share with you some of the things that I do to maintain my vitality, because to know me is to know that I'm always on go mode. I'm always ready. Let's go. And main thing is I eat well. I don't play around about what I eat. You're not going to guilt me, shame me, into eating the devil's dishes, not doing it. I stay hydrated. I drink a lot of water. I put salt in my water. I eat plenty of fruits in the morning and vegetables. I stop eating by 6 or 7 o'clock at night and until about 7 a.m. in the morning. I listen to a lot of different frequencies and just upbeat music. I've been listening to Afro beats lately, and I really love that. I seek out people who are where I want to be and who are doing what I want to do, and I listen to them. I have listened to tens of thousands of hours. All right, Misty, I'll talk to you then. Thank you. I've listened to tens of thousands of hours of motivational speaking. I sleep well. I don't play about my sleep. I get 8 hours of sleep a night. I like to go to bed early and I like to rise early. I surround myself with quality people. And sometimes you might only have one or two quality people in your life, but that's a big thing. Who you surround yourself with does determine the outcome of your life. Bottom line, it sounds cliche, but and they say, like, show me the 5 people in your life and I'll show you where you'll be in 5 years. So I'm really particular about who I surround myself with. I'd rather be alone with my animals outside with God in the garden than surrounded by people who aren't healthy or who aren't kind to me or who don't like themselves. Because if somebody doesn't like themselves, they're not going to like you. When people feel shame inside of themselves, they're going to try to project that shame onto you. And when you are truly doing the work, building your foundation brick by brick, they can't rock it. You can doubt sometimes. Don't get me wrong, you guys. I'm not made of stone. I get anxious. I've been anxious for this whole video. I'm probably going to do it again later so I can collect my thoughts and say it a little bit more structured. I don't know. I lay in bed at night sometimes just thinking, or when people that I love come at me because they're triggered and they're insecure, that stuff bothers me. These things do bother me, but I believe in what God has put in my heart so much that I'm not going to stop. I could be surrounded. I have been surrounded by people who are so triggered by what I am saying and just spewing their hatred onto me, and I still stood strong. And that is because I am fortified, because I care for myself. I do not play around. And that's how you do it. I've told people, even on the bad days, there have been times when I've had to peel myself off the floor and I have stood at my stove sobbing into my vegetables, but I still made those fucking vegetables. There have been times when I didn't want to do anything and I crawled outside just to soak up the sun. And that's what I tell people to do now, especially, people are going through it out here. And if you can, if all you can do is get up and get outside to sit underneath the sun of God, do it. Bring some water with you. Sometimes that's all we can do, and breathe and wait, because everything does pass. But again, remember, you guys, sometimes we're wearing these binoculars and we think things are really big, but they're not. And when we take those binoculars off, some of these things we're worried about, it's like the opinions of other people or what somebody said about you. Those problems are this fucking big. They don't matter. Okay. I was thinking about it today, how sometimes, I wish I could be that person that said the things everybody wants to hear and went out of my way to make sure that I don't make anybody uncomfortable. But I just can't think of a single person that really changed the world, that tiptoed around anybody's feelings. And I have tried to tiptoe around feelings before. I even find myself sometimes now still doing that. But the more that I'm learning and the more that I'm growing, the more that is coming to an end. If somebody is upset with me because I'm saying that we can do better, that we should do better, that we deserve better, that has nothing to do with me. If somebody is upset with me because I'm saying that people who claim to be Christians should love the way that Christ loved, that has nothing to do with me. And, it's real. I had a man in my booth last Wednesday. Now I'm kind of worried about tomorrow a little bit, but let me take that back. I'm not worried. I am covered in the full armor of God. But I told you guys, I'm not made of stone, it's still really tough. And this man was in my booth and he was just rude and nasty and condescending and telling me that I shouldn't be allowed to be there and I'm not a woman of God, all because he walked, trying not to spread that energy, but he just was a really inflamed man and dehydrated, and I think he really hates women. And that is not the first time. I've just really had to go through it out here, you guys. And so now part of my mentorship programs is I want to teach other people. For one, like, I want to be who I wish I had in my 20s when I was waking up to what was really going on, but I didn't really have anybody around me to help me work through it. But not only for younger people, but no matter how old you are, it is really challenging to be able to see the truth, but nobody else around you can see it. And if you speak on it, you get attacked, or you get projected on, or you get rejected. Okay, rejected, ridiculed, and just I keep reminding myself the people that really changed the world were rejected and ridiculed first. Christ Jesus himself was rejected and ridiculed. And I'm here to tell you that if he were to see how so many of these so-called Christians are treating human beings right now, oh, he'd be doing the same thing he was doing back then, flipping tables and cracking whips. And that's what we need. And guess what? The world is going to hate you for it. But like he said, they hated him first. And it kind of came to me today that maybe, maybe what he meant and some of the things that he said was people like myself. There's so many of us out here that are speaking up and that are being attacked by the world. We're not going to have to suffer in the same way that he did, because he already did it for us. That doesn't mean that we're not going to have hardships and trials and have to work through some things. But I think that it's going to be different this time. I don't know. Time will tell. Many are called, but few are chosen, right? I listen to a lot of things about the chosen ones, not like the AI generated computerized stuff, but real people talking about the chosen ones. And what it means to me to be chosen is I believe that I am chosen because I choose. I choose to believe in God with my entire heart. I choose to get up and go where God tells me to go, do what God tells me to do, and say what God tells me to say, no matter what. And I believe that is why I am chosen. I am chosen because no matter what this world puts me through, no matter what the enemy throws at me, I take it like a champion and I get back up and I keep on trucking and I keep on moving. And that's what I remind myself now, because this isn't something new. I didn't just start this 6 months ago and get a little certification and being chosen. No, I've been out here from day one. I came out of the womb messed up. I've been the devil's been putting me through it since the day that I was born, and I never gave up. And then this last decade where I really buckled down and started resisting and absolutely disconnecting from the ways of the world and everything that the enemy has sent my way to try to stop me, and I haven't stopped yet. And not only that, I am just surrounded by blessings, because I tell myself that too, like, because a lot of, especially the Christians, they reject me because I challenge the narrative, the regularly scheduled programming, because I call them on their BS. And I have to ask myself, because I'm always reflecting, always, 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 if I'm the problem, then I can be the solution. So I used to really want to be the problem so I can be the solution so we can all feel good. And that's just God, like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I really doing what you've called me to do, God? And the proof that in my pudding is not money and riches and mansions and cars. How God lets me know that I am doing what God wants me to do is the absolute love that I am surrounded by. Every time I'm really going through it, when the enemy's coming at me really hard, God just sends so many people to come love on me. One of my very best friends, Taylor, she always comes through. She's always here when the attacks are really intense, and I go to bed in a happy home every night. We're not perfect. We go through it, but there's just so much love. So much love. My fridge is always filled with the best food. My water is clean. My house is comfortable. I'm surrounded by love. That is of God. I'm not wearing these fancy suits and driving these Cadillacs and taking your money from a basket every week. No, all the money that comes to me to do the work that I do, I work my ass off for it. And to know me is to know that I will do anything for anybody if they truly want it. With that being said, I did raise my prices for my services lately, and I was on the fence about that for a while because, it's never been about money for me. But like I said, I've been feeling really drained because I feel like people just don't want it anymore. And my prices were so low that people would stick their toes in. And then I pour everything I've got into people. And guess what, baby? I've got a lot. All right. My best is great. And I was pouring all of this into people who weren't taking it seriously, who weren't doing the work. And I have gotten to a point where, hey, if you're going to waste my time, you're going to waste your money too. But also what I offer is worth every single cent that I am asking for. I really, truly, and again, the proof is in the pudding. It's out there. The work speaks for itself. My reputation speaks for itself, and people who actually care about themselves and love themselves and do the work. I have realized that just being around me is transformative, that everything that I am around either has to come up to a certain frequency or fall off. And there's no denying that now. And sure, some people might think that I'm full of myself. And let me ask you, who else am I supposed to be full of? I'm full of God. I'm full of nutrients, minerals, water, and it feels great. And I am so pleased with myself for achieving this level of vitality and being able to maintain this level of vitality. And that's why I call it sustained vitality. That's who I am. That's what I've got. And that's what I've got to give. And that is why I have upped my prices. With that being said, accessibility is still so very important to me. I talked about it today. I am really out here with the people, making sure that they've got good food, good medicine, somebody that cares about them. And if somebody cannot afford the services and they come to me with a 1-month food journal, real deal, not some I wrote all this down last minute or I waited until the end of the day to write it, but you read my article on how and why to do a food journal, and you do it and you come to me and you say, hey, Cameron, look, I need your help. I'm serious, but I don't have the finances right now. Say less. I'm doing it all for free. And my time is free. The remedies are free. Let's go. Because that's really what it is all about, is people who can feel it, that it's time to start evolving. It's time to stop with the excuses. It's time to stop poisoning yourself. It's time to buckle down and do the work. Okay. You think it's fun resisting the food out here? You think it's fun to make vegetables when I really just want to order a pizza? You think it's fun to go around people and be uncomfortable because I don't want to eat what they are eating? And just, it would be so much easier to just give in to the ways of this world. I'd be more accepted. I wouldn't feel so alone sometimes. But, it's hard. And that's why most people won't do it. But you know what? The rewards are amazing. The things I can do with my body, the amount of energy that I have, the amount of things that I can get done in a day without crashing out and feeling so depleted, like I'm half dead, is incredible. So, yeah. The work is hard. The sacrifice, I don't even want to call it a sacrifice. Like, oh, I can't eat Chick-fil-A, but I get to sleep like a champ and wake up feeling refreshed and ready to go. I can rely on my body to do hard things. I can handle the heat out here without dying, but I had to not eat McDonald's. Oh, no. But I get it. I was there. Not only was I there, but I was by myself. In my early 20s, when I came here at 22 years old, riddled in Crohn's, riddled in trauma, riddled in endometriosis and all of these things. And I was going to these doctors to try to get help. And they were just throwing pharmaceuticals at me that made me even more sick. I had to pray and pray and pray. And, I found God in prison, and I'm so glad that I did. And my heart has been open. I have zero malice in my heart. And I know that now. I'm not perfect. I have an ego, but I have zero malice in my heart, and that has helped me so much. When I got out of prison, I got put right back into the same environment that I was in before I went to prison, surrounded by drug addicts, surrounded by sickness, the devil, all and everything. And I prayed. I said, God, I don't ever want to go back to prison. I know that I deserve better than this. I never knew that I deserved better until I woke up in prison sober for the first time since I was 8 years old. And I said, this isn't right. This isn't where I belong. But God did that for me. He took me out and put me there so I could see. I was 20 years old when I went to prison. I've been doing drugs since I was 8. I didn't know any different. So I got to see, I'm so grateful. I learned discipline. I was in the boot camp program. I had to be up, bed made to a T, standing at attention at the end of my bunk every day by 5 a.m. We go march the compound, go to school, got my GED in there, came home again, got put right back into the same environment. So I'm praying, all right, God, show me, help me. I get on my friend's computer and I'm on the computer looking, I think I just typed in like things to go to school for. And CAM popped up, CAM. And I said, oh shit, that's me. I'm Cam. And I clicked on it and it was complementary and alternative medicine. And I just knew it. I don't know how I knew it, but I knew it. And so I went to my grandmother and I was telling her about it. And she bought me my first laptop. She paid for my application fee to go to college. I don't know if it was my first laptop, but she bought me that laptop. And she paid for my application fee to go to college. Next thing I know, I'm enrolled in the bachelor's program, and I worked very hard. I put myself through that program. Didn't have any moral support. Didn't have any support, but I did it. And, and there were so many times I wanted to quit. There's so many times that I didn't know what I was doing. I had a prison GED. God gave me teachers that would get up with me at 5:30 in the morning and get on Zoom and tutor me. I did so much extra tutoring. I had to work a lot harder to get to where I am today. I had so much catching up I had to do before I could even begin to build the foundation. And I did that. And anybody can do that if you truly want to do it. All right. Quit poisoning your mind with these man-made slave systems. Okay. Quit poisoning your body with this man-made food. Quit allowing these systems to instill so much fear and hatred in your heart. Open your mind. Recognize how big the world is. Why do you think that what you were told to believe in is the only thing to believe in? That's crazy. There's just so many beautiful cultures and so many beautiful people in this world. And I'm getting a little off track because Marcos just came in from working out. And which, by the way, you guys, still going strong with the celibacy. And that's something I want to speak on again soon, because when I came out talking about how I practice celibacy, I was a little disappointed in the amount of women who messaged me as if something was wrong. Hey, if you want to work through some stuff, I'm more than happy to help you. I never said anything was wrong. Okay. And some of the women, they're not even healthy in their wombs. And I think that's something worth considering. If you struggle with PCOS or endometriosis or all sorts of things, like, give your womb some time to just be with you. It's been a really beautiful thing. And I will make a separate video on celibacy and how challenging it is, but the beautiful gifts that it gives. And this is just a live for fun. So if I'm all over the place, that's because I'm doing it for fun. I'm going to go, you guys. I might come back on later. Check out communitynourishment.org/offerings. When we are in the one-on-one sessions, it is structured. We have a focal point. We're setting goals and we're working towards those goals. Check out the community feedback blog post where over 50 different people have left their testimonies of working with me and the transformations that they have created in their life. They did the work. I just cheered them on and offered some support. And that's what it's about. I've had to learn in my line of work, really just with life in general, not to take things personally, especially when you're working with people who are trying to transform their minds, their bodies, or spirit. People won't do the work and they'll point the finger at you like you didn't show up to heal them. That's crazy. Those 50 plus people who left reviews on there, they show up for themselves. They do the work. They don't make excuses. They look themselves in the mirror and say, hey, I love you. And this is how we're going to improve. I love you as you are, but I want more for you. I love you as you are, but you deserve so much more. So let's go get it. So check that out. Come see me at one of the markets and stay tuned because I'm going to keep on getting back on here. Okay. Remember, I see you. And I feel you because I am you and I love you so much. Bye.